Well, happy Friday, everybody. We made it through this, short Canadian week. I don't know if you know, Donté, but up in Canada, it was our Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Yes,
Yeah,
I
that's
do.
right. So it was a bit of a shorter week for some of us up here, which I always find is just like, okay, how can we cram 40 hours of work into 4 days instead of five? Because those deadlines never change. But wanted to welcome you to episode 2 of ScotchNow, featuring
Indeed.
Donté Hooker. I hope I got that right.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got it. Down to Hooker. That's
Awesome.
correct.
Awesome. So today's scotch, I have to, fully disclose, is my favorite. So this is going to be the most biased review that you'll see on this podcast. This got me into scotch. Well, Crown Royal got me into scotch, but this once I found this one, it is all peat, it is all smoke, and that's my perfect flavor profile for a scotch, and that's why it's my favorite. You'll see this one we're not opening net new, so don't.
Don't judge you on that.
Yeah, it's not.
you you
It.
did say it's your favorite, so I mean,
Yeah,
it wouldn't be only fair that it's already
yeah,
opened.
and it's fuller than I thought it would be when I checked last night. Okay, so all right, we'll do one pour for a lovely Friday afternoon and move this out of the way. Okay, so the Ardbeg Islay Single Malt. This is a 10-year-old. It's their most popular Scotch whiskey that they sell, and it has won numerous awards over many, many years, including sometimes the best whiskey in the world. So I found this all out afterwards. I just thought I loved this stuff. It's just if you're
That's it.
like into Scotch and you like all peat and all smoke, try this. If you want something that's a little cheaper but kind of very similar, then there's one called Smokehead that's also very similar. You can even see the coloring of it. There's not a lot of caramel in it,
Yeah,
which I
yeah,
like.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's just good. It's got a lot of bite, which I also like. Like I want to know
So
what I'm
wait, you have to
drinking.
say it. What's the brand again?
Ardbeg,
Hmm.
Ardbeg.
Got
Yeah,
it.
is the brand. And I think you've got your own drink that you'd like to talk about which was a bit from
Yes, you
Starbucks, but
can't
the rating on
quite
this one is 10
see
out
it.
of 10. Go ahead. Yeah, you can see it.
Okay, good. This is a mango dragon fruit refresher from Starbucks. I do not drink alcohol
Okay,
uh,
good.
anymore,
Fair.
but that's what I
Fair.
drink. Made with water. You can get it with lemonade, and
Hmm.
can get it with coconut water, but I get it with water. To me,
Hmm.
this is far the best at Starbucks right now,
Yeah.
and no more dramatic effect other than I enjoy it.
I
This is my
love those
daily addiction.
refreshers. Yeah, I
Hmm.
love those myself. And the mango dragon fruit's one of my favorites. They used to have a one with a pineapple that I liked
Yeah, the
really.
pineapple refresher. Yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm interested in why you choose the water over the lemonade.
That's a very good question. Over the years, it just got too sweet for me. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I don't know. Getting a little older, sugar just tastes it's a little different. It's like, wow, it tastes like I don't want to have diabetes.
That's
So,
that's fair,
it's
right?
like it just got a little too sweet for me. Now, all fairness, all jokes aside.
Hmm.
And then I started to just play with it. First, I was doing half water, half lemonade, and then I just
Yeah.
said just go full water, and then just because there's already enough in the syrup there from the mango
Hmm.
dragon fruit, so it still tastes good enough for me with the pieces as well, so it's still good. So
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
why.
that's awesome. No, that's a good thing because I also sometimes find them too sweet. But what we were doing was getting one with the full lemonade, and then
Mm.
taking it home, trying to resist. Don't drink it in the car,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you get home, separate it into two
Then
glasses and
mix it
top them
two
up, or
glasses.
put some more
Yes,
ice
there
in.
you go.
But
Yeah,
no, I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I think I'd rather drink it a bit in the car. It's like, why am I going to drive home with McDonald's French fries? Nope,
That's not happening.
that's a waste
Not
of
happening.
them. Yeah, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Those hot ones are gonna come straight. At least that first handful, just to.
Oh my god, right? That first, yeah, and it's got to be a minimum of 4
Yes,
for that first
I don't eat
handful, right?
McDonald's as much anymore,
Yeah, me
but
either.
the fries.
Yeah,
It's
that's fair.
always an exception to the fries.
We tried to eat one of the what was it? The big
Big
arch? Is that
Mac,
the new one?
the Big Mac.
They had like this
The new
big,
one.
yeah, that new
Yeah,
burger, right? Which I like the flavors in it, but when we split it, we couldn't make it through both of it. It
yeah.
was I'm like, oh my god, like so day's worth of salt and 30 seconds. 2 bites. Those first 2 bites are incredible, though. You're like, where have you
Yeah, it's
been all
like
my
the first
life?
couple, it's like, "Ooh,
And
this is
then,
great," but then after you get to like further ones, okay, this is kind
yeah,
of gluttony now. I'm gonna have to
slowing down.
knock it off. Yeah, I think we're
Yeah.
dating ourselves a little here.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, no. Well, you
I
can't see
don't,
mine. I cut
yeah.
it out, so it's all good.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Nice.
Yeah.
So, you are of, a lot of ServiceNow fame. It was a pleasure to meet you in Knowledge this year. You're a ServiceNow certified technical architect, a ServiceNow MVP. You do these. You run the Charlotte Dev Meetup, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And yeah,
Yes.
now I just saw 4 days ago that you're teaching people how to make catalog items.
Yeah,
Coming up
yeah,
on Wednesday, October 23rd at
absolutely.
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Eastern.
Eastern.
Yeah. So just let's take us all the way back to the beginning. Tell me about Donté prior to ServiceNow.
It's a good question. I'm a service desk person who came up through the desk out of college and, crawling under desk, plugging
Yep.
in computers, setting them up for moves, adds, and changes. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
got my start, and then worked my way up to answering phones for desk support, like truly phone support, and then I got into a company as a freight shipping company, and they put me on the a service desk, if you will. Well, back then it was help desk. Everything was help desk
Mm-hmm.
before ITIL
Yeah.
service desk.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And
Yeah.
I answered calls from the global side outside of US, everywhere outside of US. So my shift was 6 a.m. to 1. So being someone from Oakland, California, who hasn't dealt with a lot of nationalities within California, but not being able to hear outside of my region, the different accents, the different, everybody, so now today I can hear people from all over the world as clear as I hear you because of that job. And it gave me a real appreciation for people who come here who have English as a second language, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think number one, that's just one, but that's how I got my start. And then when I started making my way up, I was all into IT operations, so total infrastructure guy. Then I got into the process when ITIL became a thing. So we were all
Okay.
trained at that company, and then I got really heavy into ITIL. So I took over all the ITIL processes, and then hence I had Remedy at the time was the tool of choice. So
Yep.
then once Remedy moved into another company, uh, and I don't necessarily know if we want to call it, but SanDisk Corporation, I'll just say it. And I got
Yep.
to SanDisk, and I was there. And then at that point, I had all ITSM processes, and then that's how ServiceNow came to us at the time. And we got ServiceNow, and really much the rest was history. Exactly.
Just bought a GoPro.
Dude,
So-
hey, listen, I still have those memory cards in my cameras.
oh
I'm a digital
man.
camera guy.
Yeah. Oh, that's
But
awesome.
so at SanDisk is where we rolled out, ITSM, and they just released like Agile at the time. It was like Aspen
Oh.
Berlin. I
Yep.
got in a little bit pre Aspen, but then we didn't go live until quite Berlin. And
Right.
then at Berlin, they just dropped the first version of Agile there. So we released ITSM and Agile. All did it in 90 days, believe it or not. And so
Yep.
from there, I saw that I can configure things, and that's when my development of the tool began. And then from there,
Wow.
from development, I went into consulting, and I just took off from that standpoint. And I've been doing it again since Aspen Berlin. So about 18 years, over
Wow.
20 plus years of IT. So I've been seeing every release from A.
That's
I've
amazing.
physically
Yeah.
experienced every release from A all the way to now. Love the way the platform is going, and enjoying it, as I say, and that's why I like to give back. In the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, and this community is always still the same. It's like no matter how long I've been in it, the same people that's here, that's been there, been around, still love to talk, and we talk about those old times, but still love joy the new times of the new up and coming devs. That's why I don't mind showing them. That's why I don't mind
Yeah.
doing what I'm doing next week. And no, I don't charge money. No, I don't ask for anything type of payment. I just give back into the community. It's just good karma. I just need sow more seeds, and then those
Yeah.
things will sprout and grow up. And then my biggest achievement is when people run up to me at Knowledge. Oh my God, I can't believe I meet you. And I'm like, I'm just a guy,
Yeah.
but you showed me so much. I appreciate you. I'm glad that you're here and you made it into the ecosystem. That to me is more of the reward. I have the job going on. I have consulting
Right.
going on. Don't need that part. Is what I want to be able to do is make sure I give back to those who need it. So that's why, again, so that's my journey and why I do what I do.
Well, that's awesome. Cheers to you. And we kind of had a similar start because I started help desk at Best Buy Canada.
Mm,
which before they even got bought, it used to be a thing called Future Shop in Canada,
I
and then Best
remember.
Buy bought it. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Wait, I don't
I
remember
remember.
that. And I didn't know the Future Shop. I thought you were
Yeah.
going to say Geek Squad. But
Well,
before the Geek
This is
Squad, yeah.
way back
Yeah, you talking about way
2003.
back. Yeah, yeah.
Way back, yeah. So I
That's
remember
funny.
no one calling in going, "Hey, everything's going great. You're doing a great job."
Never,
Everybody called,
never.
not once. You know, that's funny though. I do that now randomly. If I have
Yes.
a good experience, I call in. I go, "Hey, just wanted to say everything's great. I love this product. It's working well." Or if I had a good customer support experience, I'll do a second call and I'll try and say, "Hey, is there a survey I can take
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
a
Yeah, I do
kudos I
this.
can send?"
When you
Yeah.
come up through that, man, it's so I call it a thankless job because they're
Hmm.
not calling you to say most of the times thank you. I did
It's
go
true.
into like a field service engineer, and I did get a lot
Hmm.
of thank yous there. So that was
Yeah.
really cool. That was pretty awesome. But when it came down to it, I agree with you on that. Now I do something. I'll spell out the survey. I didn't necessarily call back, but they say, "Hey, would you mind?" Sure, I'll do your survey. It's, no problem, because I know the feeling.
Yes.
Get
Right.
those CSATs
Right.
up.
I don't even think we had measurements on the surveys when I was doing it, but yeah.
No, me neither. Me neither.
Well, let's move a blip forward into your career then. So you were a service manager at Verizon.
Mm.
This seems very ServiceNow-y because it was that around the time when you were at Aspen, Berlin. That seems
So
about the right.
once I got into the deal at Verizon, I was more managing the more architects and not architects, sorry, development teams and
Hmm.
infrastructure teams that
Oh,
was basically using the platform at the time, and they were doing
nice.
deployments for web applications. And
Hmm.
so for me, I was more stakeholder and more premium, platform, product owner, if you will,
Right.
at that moment in time on ServiceNow. When
Okay.
I'm after that is when I start getting into more. I call it the dark side. I mean, I call it the fun side, the dark side, into more coding and development. Because when I was in
Hmm.
architecture, I was like, oh, software developer guys, man, those guys, man, the app
Yeah.
team, the app dev team, man, they don't know what they're doing. And I'm over here, I'm like, they actually do know what they're doing, but
Hmm. Yeah. And if you look at the story, that's exactly what you asked for. But you signed off here, here, and
you signed off
here.
here,
Yeah.
here, and here.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
pre-go live, you said it was
Yeah,
all
that's
good.
right.
We went
That's
live, you
right.
said it's all bad. No,
Yeah.
no, you cannot say
Yeah. I
that.
do so many demos now to try to mitigate that. And
Yes.
the number of times you'll hear someone say, "Now that I see it," right?
Oh,
And that's okay. I don't want to get it into production and have people notice that kind of thing. So now I invest a lot of time into end-to-end demos. I'm starting to build everything with ATFs because of
yes,
this. So those small
yes.
changes, now I click a sweet button and
And
off
go
my
right back
testing
to it.
goes and yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
They have a
Yeah.
really
So,
cool ATF recorder on Share that somebody built that
ooh.
will record. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. So you might want to check that out when you get a chance. But I'm the
So
same
yeah,
way.
hit me a
Yeah,
link on that and I'll put
I
it
definitely,
into
I'll share that.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be
I'll
great.
definitely share that out.
Hmm.
But to your point, I follow somewhat. I call it Wagile. It's not never
Yep.
always agile. But with the agile phase, we do the same thing when I do any deployment, right? We go through a sprint, we do sprint demos, and I like to do a natural progression of build. And what I
Hmm.
mean by that, let's say you're rolling out ITSM, you're rolling out incident at the moment. I like to go form design, right? Anything, any kind of UI policy ish in the form.
Yep.
Then we go to anything that's related list wise. Then we go anything flow related to it. Like if there's
Yep.
anything that's going to auto trigger outside of this, let's just follow that through. So when I do my demo, hey, this is what you said the form you want, right? This is how you want to
Yep.
show and hide and make things mandatory. Okay, great. Now here's the flow you want. So now I'm taking it into now. You said yes to the story about the form. You
Hmm.
said yes to the story about the hiding and showing and mandatory. You said yes to the flow. Put it all together. It should be yes, yes, yes. No.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Should be.
No, all jokes aside, and
Uh-huh.
most of the time that gives me a good 80%. I call it the 80 percentile success because the
Hmm.
other 20 is more of, like you said, now that I see it, I see what you were saying about changing
Right.
this. Because I think for today's dev, if they ever to know and do a thing in ServiceNow or any profession, if you're consulting, internally and externally, because to me, I believe you're still a consultant, whether you work for a company or you're external to a partner to a company, you're still a consulting person in that, right?
Right.
Always, always, always provide your expert level opinion. Tell them what you've seen, tell them what you think it should happen, because they're going to go and just tell you what to do. You want to
Hmm.
come back and say, here's are my thoughts. Always. That makes you a better consultant.
Yes.
That's to me. And so for me, when I talk to devs that are doing this or getting into this, they was like, well, I don't know as much as you, Dante. And I was like, well, you don't have to. Whatever you're doing, you may research and go offer your
Yes.
opinion. You don't have to do it on the phone that same moment. Hey, let me go look at this. I'll come back to you. And then
Yep.
when you do that, they give you more respect of that, because now you gave them information that they can make a more informed decision on. So I think those are the
Yes.
things. So that also cuts down on your, development and testing and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, that does accelerate your time to production, and then you can only start realizing value technically when it's in production. So you always want to
Absolutely.
focus on getting there as fast as you can with that quality. So after Verizon, it looks like you went to Cloves Inc. and you jumped from service manager to senior ServiceNow technical architect. Now that was kind of what I was hoping to do, uh, but not from the service manager. I was trying to go from developer to architect, and my journey, had a couple key people believe in me and give me a first shot. Let me cut my
Absolutely.
teeth on it. But tell me about your hop there.
So listen, that close is always near and dear to my heart. That was my first real consulting in the ServiceNow space. That company today and forever will be, and I'm be indebted to them. And
Mhm.
they still are a great company to this day. Same thing. Gave me my first shot in ServiceNow consulting.
Oh, okay.
Was a smaller company at the time. We had back then we had the Fruitions and now Cloud Sherpas. As a Fruition and Cloud Sherpa. I can't remember what Cloud Sherpa's name was before that, but those were the two main players. Close is a newer player coming around,
Hmm.
and really just had the faith, like, hey, this stuff. Come on and help us do the implementations, and really poured a lot into me about being that thing I just said about being a consultant. That's the one
Hmm.
thing that they showed me how to do. I don't necessarily like to name drop, but I have to say this since I said the
Oh.
company name. His name is Kamal, who's the CEO
Hmm.
there, and then a good friend of mine named Lou Guerrera. And
Hmm.
they both are there, and they are really good people, man. These are friends of mine till this day. So like how people seek me out, I seek them out. Every knowledge, I go straight to their booths. I don't even pass go
Oh,
collect 200. I go directly
yeah.
to them, and we just catch up and hang. Those are my friends or family at this point, in the ecosystem, and more than that, but they're just good people, man, and good company
Right.
overall. But that how is how I made that leap. It's just the belief in an investment. Sometimes when you have people that believe in you, and I know you have the skill sets and I know you can do the job, but you just need that one
Yeah.
shot. And that was my one shot. That's how I became where I am today. That shot is what gave me the confidence to continue,
Right.
and you know this. And once you get that one
Yeah.
shot and you're like, I can do this, and that's what the close was for me.
That's amazing. That kind of rings true with, I'm sure, a lot of people. I'm sure there's some questions out there that I'd love to get to on that. Like, how did you sink this shot?
Mm.
Is one, because we know a lot of people out there are trying to break into that first role or trying to land that next role. How did you sink this shot?
For me, what it was, listening. Oh my God. I get a lot of people who come to me who want to tell me things. Not saying you don't talk to me. If I ask you questions, we talk, fine. What I'm
Mhm.
saying is at some point you have to, listening is a skill. And I'm not saying this is like 100% the only thing, right? But this
Mhm.
is just part of it. So when they came to me and we talked about being a consultant, they told me what they would like me to do. I actually listened to understand how I can do the job the best way. I leaned on my leadership there, and then I did what was asked of me because I did not know at the time, instead of going off to do what I believe I should do. So some of that is not, so getting a job is always hard, right? But once you get it, keeping it is even harder. So the thing is the first thing you do, you go anywhere, any profession to me is this: come in and listen first. I'm an architect, I've been doing it a long time. I'm still, if I come over with you and do a project, I'm going to listen to you first and to the client first, even more
Yes.
clear. and be like, hey, okay, so what do you have? What do you do today? Okay,
Hmm.
tell me. I'm going to write it all down. I'm going to listen. And then we're going to help devise a plan together. And I think that's part how I learned, and that's still what I do to this day. So with that advice, like I said, from those people, they would give me just little pointers, and I would take that advice, and then of course, to my which
Yep.
ways that I can implement it. But again, just listening and taking that advice. But landing it is always the hard thing, right? But landing it is just once you get it, is how can you keep it? That is,
Yes.
but that's why I offer like even helping people out. Like I've done a lot of things where people come to me and just like, hey, I'm trying to do this code. Can you help? Sure. You got 5, 20 minutes. Let's geek out on, if you give me
Yep.
after 6 o'clock, let's geek out. And I know you have
That's
before,
true.
Chris. So
Yeah, I know. I try to. Yeah, if I need to jump on and help someone out, it's like, well, you're gonna have to wait till after hours or something like that. But I find
yep,
people are willing to give their free time if I'm willing to give my free time, and learning how some people approach things. I'm like, oh, I never would have thought to do it that way. I remember
absolutely.
there was like this UI policy script thing that worked
Yeah,
out way better than the way I was doing it. And I'm like, you just changed the game for me a little bit there. Thank you. I think that was Robert Fedoric. We'll tag him on that one, or maybe it was in his feed. So after close, and you got that first shot and you sunk it, sounds like you crushed it because then you moved into ServiceNow directly. So what was that like to start working for ServiceNow at a high time of competition for those roles? Like this is 2021 of March is when you started. It looks like, and that was a very intense period when ServiceNow was really growing and everybody was applying.
hmm
So how was that? How did you land that principal platform architect role? And can you describe what that was that first year?
So for me, I got that. This is around the COVID time, the COVID years.
Hmm.
So right before is when I got to the ServiceNow, as I call, AKA the mothership. And it's funny they have a
Yeah.
mothership in San Diego.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That's an
you know,
office that looks like a
it looks
spaceship,
like a
just in
mothership
case.
for those who
Yeah.
don't
So
know. If
you
you,
can
yeah,
Google it. It's worth a
it's pretty
Google.
cool actually. But so that role was particular. I actually sought that out because at the time the consulting gigs were just drying up, as you know. And for me, I was just like, this is a great time to look at if I'm going to be mixed up in anything, I'm going to
Hmm.
the mothership.
Right.
Been trying to get there a few times. It just never aligned right with either
Yeah.
consulting or aligned right with ServiceNow not having the right position for me. So at that particular time, I applied, and then also just reaching out to people that I knew there, trying to get recommendations. But overall, I went through a nice interview process. It was
Yeah.
serious. I had to do some real intensive presentations,
Oh,
solutioning
really?
about it. So it wasn't easy, but I did enjoy the experience. So with that overall thing, I think landing that was more just on what I knew in that
Hmm.
particular time. Definitely, there was no gimmies in that. Uh,
No, no, I
but
wouldn't
again,
imagine.
hard interviews, but definitely well worth it and well received. I had really good time at ServiceNow. Just was at that particular one. I just never forget that interview process.
Nice. What was your day to day for that principal platform architect? Like, what were you doing with your time?
So what I was doing there specifically as an architect, I had specific clients that I would work with, and I would definitely solution for either new things they had, or that either was on custom things or
Hmm.
existing. Also,
Nice.
helping them with the overall health of their platform. A lot of times, people don't know that these specific, scripts, reports, scheduled jobs may kill your performance, right? And so,
Yes.
within ServiceNow, we had these health scans and stuff like that that we would do for customers, so I would help them do a readout, right? And say what this, not just, hey, your scores are 75 or 80 or 90 or
Right.
100, whatever it is, right? But what does it mean? Right. And then the outputs from them, what's actually impacting them and showing them, here's how you fix it. Those are the ultimate things that I did there. Again, just help them with the platform, then also help them solution things and help them just overall from an architect's perspective, knowing what is leading practice. Notice I didn't say best, right? Because best is of the day, but
Yeah.
leading
Best is
practice is
old.
out there. Yeah, best
That's
is
right.
old.
Yeah.
Best is right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is
I'm
leading
trying to
practice
correct
is
my language on that one.
it's
So if
it's
you hear me
tough.
make a
It's tough
mistake,
because
call it out,
even
right?
yeah, but even clients still say it.
Yeah.
I don't correct them, and
No.
because even
Oh God, no.
because they did.
Hmm.
You've never been asked that question, right?
Yeah.
What does other customers do? What is best practice? That is the
Yes. Yeah.
funniest question for me. I always laugh. I said, what's best practice? We're just going to plug it up to ServiceNow and let you go. There you go.
Yep. That's right. Yeah. I mean that's the recommendation, right? Just use it all out of the
Just
box. The
use it out of
NHL
box.
model. Yeah.
Nobody never touches anything. It's out of box. What are you talking
Well, but that's an interesting approach because I've worked with a couple clients that are now looking at doing this as the MVP.
about?
So, how do they maximize the value of a purchased product? We came up with a literal 4-month plan to deploy just the foundational data, the access, and 2 weeks of training
Nice.
to deploy a module as is. And the deal was you use it as is for 3 months. And then in 3 months' time, we're noting down stories. We're noting down all these things that you don't like and you want to change. And then the project kicks in with a costed and value-based approach to make those changes. And I wish everybody would kind of do that. Because
It takes the learning, it takes that
I
learning curve out,
know,
dude. If they just
right?
use it and this is what I mean, I don't do exactly out of box, but I'll try to do
Mm-hmm.
minimum, I call it minimum configuration, phase one, right? Similar to what you're saying, an
Yes.
MVP, phase one, minimum config. I'll give you some fields, I'll give you some UI policies
Yeah.
within reason. I'll give you some catalog items. We'll give you a nice little
Mm-hmm.
color scheme for your portal, but we're going to
Yes.
hold 30, 60, 90. Like, some go with, we do 30. Okay, it's not going to be enough, but at least you'll
Yeah.
get to use it for that, and that is to me invaluable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because once they know, and it's so many clients, and I know you've probably seen this too, you do an implementation, phase two is some of it is 20, 30% is undoing what they thought it would do
Yes.
and they wanted you to change. So
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, now you see it my way. Okay, great. So now we're going to do
Mm-hmm.
what I said. Okay, good. Let's go
Yeah.
do what I
Yeah.
said. So I
Right.
think that's really interesting. I mean, it's pretty good actually. If they can get to use it for 90 days, like, hey, we're going to use Incident Match for 90 days, and then we're going
Mm-hmm.
to come back and tell you what we want. We're going to
You
use
know,
problem for, that's pretty good.
there's flexibility in that, of course. Like you
Of
said,
course.
some basic UI policies if they need to track stuff for reporting.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's like if it's under 8 hours, we'll kind of do it along the way.
Yeah.
But if they want to do like that big surgery or something that's significant, then we kind of look at it closer. So
Yeah.
after ServiceNow, it looks like you went to a ServiceNow senior manager, ServiceNow architect, and then you're now a DTH IT consulting. So tell me the
So,
story of that.
so basically, went all through all of that, went to the mothership, consulting, everything, then went back to consulting. I mean, essentially
Yep.
that. And I enjoyed this part because I was in corporate America for a good 10, 12 years of my career.
Mm-hmm.
And not saying I don't enjoy it, I do. I enjoy just overall
Yep.
this. But what I really enjoy is going to a client space, walking in the door, saying, what are we doing for the next 3 to 6 months? This, do the thing, see you later. Or come back for phase two.
Yeah.
They come back for phase
Okay.
two. But I am not in the day-to-day corporate politics. The day-to-day
That's fair.
corporate politics takes away the fun for me. And I don't mean
Mm-hmm.
all of it. I mean the negative side
Yeah.
of the corporate politics. I mean there's some that comes with it all. I mean, it's always politics, and even in consulting, there's politics. It's not that.
Yes.
And it's not that it's such a bad thing either. But just at this point of my life, I like the freedom, right?
Yes.
I enjoy having that ability to come in and really know, because they trust not my word because I'm Donté. They trust it
Mm-hmm.
because I'm the consulting coming in, but also I have no vested interest in everything else. All I'm
That's
here
right.
for is this. And so you get a little bit more authority and a little bit more listening ears when you walk in as the consulting firm
Mm-hmm.
that I paid X dollars for. You
Right.
should be that voice, right? So that is what I enjoy. Not necessarily just
Mm-hmm.
leaving, but giving them that real expertise and knowing that they're having good hands. Because what I do, a lot of things is configuration as much as I can, that they
Yep.
can manage it themselves. Now,
Oh
of
my
course,
God.
I'll come
Yes.
back and help you roll out the next modules. And even if something you can't do, we can do some consulting hours. Even if you can't do X or you want me to roll this out
Mm-hmm.
for expertise, don't mind any of that. It's not that I don't want to come back, is that I want to empower, right? I don't want to
Yes.
have you lean on me and then have you just pay all this extra money that you're feeling like, because at some point it's going to run out. You're not going to feel like you have value. In my
Yep.
infrastructure days, we had outsourcers, right? And everybody complained I feel like we're not getting the value because we're paying all this money and they're not giving us the expertise. And so that's what I never want to hear customers say, right? We're paying all this money for you and we don't feel like we're getting the leading practice. We're not getting the best configuration. Oh, we need to now when we configure this, you gave us this custom thing that you have to come back to touch. Yeah.
Yes.
So if I can have a flow designer flow, do it rather than me writing a script include, guess what you're going to get? A flow designer flow, right? Now, of course, we can write a script include for you, but if you have the expertise on site, that's going to make it easier for you. I'll give you a script include. But if you don't, you have a 2-year person on site, on staff, that's going to take over when I leave, I'm going to give you a flow.
Yeah, that's right. Totally. And I kind of apply that same type of philosophy. I look at the fact that the most expensive part of the solution is never the implementation. It's always maintenance and regression testing because that could go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look at, I've got a law firm client and they had someone join who was a ServiceNow certified admin, had never built or coded. And over the course of a year, I trained him. And I thought maybe I'm training my replacement. And that was okay if that ended up happening. It didn't. But now, last year, he deployed his own scoped app in like 3 weeks. And everybody was like, oh my God, it's amazing. And everything that I'll build is designed to be maintained by a junior developer.
Yes.
Not that I don't feel that I need to write something at that senior technical level or anything like that, but because that's the cheapest way. We've all gone into that script include and we go, what the hell is going on here? And jumping up and down and this and that. And you're all over the place. I'm like, I need a Visio to manage this.
Exactly. I mean, I think the biggest thing is that if you're going to build and you're going to go script include and you're going to go scope the app, I like to push things to a lot of tables where it's table-based management. So if I build a script include, I'm going to have a system property or a table that kind of pushes it. So when you had to make to make a modification of this, if you need to change the assignment group, then you have to touch the business. You don't have to touch anything over there, but touch this table. Table is what calls it. When I do integrations, touch this table, right? That's all you have to deal with. And it will, the magic behind the scenes, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I do a lot of lookup tables for them too. So yeah,
absolutely.
I love it.
So I think the biggest thing is as we get into customers and stuff like that, just kind of tying it back to consulting and me moving to that route, that's where my mind always goes. And for me, the freedom of that is in the consulting space, whether I'm working for a partner or working for just straight on my own consulting, that's where it comes from.
And so your DTH IT Consulting's your firm, right?
That's me. Yes.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, welcome to the same. I'm in the same boat. I run a large firm of just me. So
the largest. Oh, that's just massive.
That's right. Yes. Sometimes there's still employee complaints over here, but
that's right. I gotta get those employees together, man.
No, it's only me, so I'm complaining.
No, I'm just joking, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So you're doing your own thing. You're running the Charlotte meetup, teaching people catalog items, and amongst other things. If you'd like me to come on to one of your things and teach something, I'd love to do that. Just let me know. We'll figure the time out. Yeah,
that would be totally awesome. Yeah. Anytime you're more than welcome. Because I tell people all the time, you don't have to hear me all the time. If somebody else wants to say something, please feel free. Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know, and that'd be great. But awesome. Then moving on, where do you kind of see yourself heading in the next couple of years?
For me, where I see myself going is I really want to go to certified wise. I'll give you two things: certified, then I go career. I want to get the certified master architect is my next move I want to do for certification style. I'm ready. That's the thing. It's the natural progression for me. And then really, and the thing is for career wise, I am heavy into GRC IRM. I know it's kind of crazy because it's not a lot of coding there. In my previous life, back into APL in those days when I first started out, I was at one point in my career, I was always the liaison for audit for IT. So I kind of get that process a lot. And so I've been doing IRM when it was GRC, when it first was launched out of ServiceNow. I've been doing those implementations, even when it was converted over to the newer IRM version of it. And now even ESG, and that's an environmental, social, and governance. Right. So been doing all of those. So I want to get more into that space. Just really kind of hammer and nail down that space in that area. Also HRSD, another
Mm-hmm.
one. I've been doing a lot of implementations there as well. And so just kind of, I want to touch the non-IT people a lot lately. I
Yeah.
feel like there's a big need to help bring them along in the ecosystem. ITSM is the bread and butter cornerstone. I mean, when you talk
Yeah.
to IT people, they get it, they understand it. They have been living and breathing tickets, whether they've been using ServiceNow or not. Some of these
Yes.
HR people have been using email a long, long time, right? And that email dies a slow death. And so trying to get them up to, yeah, they even when they get ServiceNow, they're like, can you email and create a ticket? And it's like, do you really want to? You got mobile? You have mobile.
Yeah.
You got
Right. Like,
mobile. You got a web browser. You know, you can go to the
I'll do
portal.
it,
You know,
but
and
I'm
you
gonna
still want,
cry.
but you still want them to send email. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
and same thing with the GRC space. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're talking with your security, your compliance officers, the auditors, the external audits, the internal audits, and these people are dealing with spreadsheets mainly, right? And
Yes.
so helping them come along as the quote unquote world is working with ServiceNow, you know, trying to get that level, not just the software side of it, not just the platform and ServiceNow product
Mm-hmm.
side of it, but the people side of it to come up to get to at least closer where IT is from the system perspective and have
Right.
them living in the environment and knowing that, hey, this is for you. This is not IT for you. This is
Mm-hmm.
yours, and really having
Yes.
that ownership of the platform because they still think like we're over here, you know, IT do this for me. Like, no, this is yours.
Mm-hmm.
This is your space. This is what you do for a living. You know,
Yep.
own the whole thing, like, and walk in that whole thing. So that's why I want to go to those two specific areas career wise. I want to get more engulfed in that and out of more of the ITSM realm.
That's awesome. I'm kind of in the HRSD world a bit more than I used to be. So I got the certification years ago
Mm,
for a bid. So they said, my boss came to me and said, "Hey, can you go get the certification in a week?" So I took both courses. They put in for the bid. It ultimately didn't go through, and then I'm kind of like, "Oh, well, I've got this thing." And then 5 years later, I'm
mm,
starting to use it. I mean, like, thank goodness I did the deltas. And
yes.
it's changed so much that recently I just retook the whole course, both of them,
Yeah.
just as a refresher. But
And
HRSD, I
I don't think there's
find,
anything wrong with that.
no,
That's that's a
I'm
great
going to
thing.
start doing that. I think more so, but hearing their struggles and, like you said, they kind of have been left behind a bit and
Hmm.
doing a lot of email stuff, and I find that that's what I was working on. But now I come in and do like a 1 week listening, like you said, come in and listen, and then I take a week to build a capability demo.
Absolutely.
And this is just to show them, here's what it can do. It can do this, and here's how this works, and here's how that works. And then they can pick and choose a la carte, like they're at the buffet, what they
Yeah,
want
I
and how
want
much
this. I
they
want
want
this.
and
Yes,
when they
absolutely.
want it. And then next thing you know, everybody's at the meat carving station and we're all having a great meal. So,
I think that's that a la carte piece and doing that demo ahead of time, like because in the workshops, I think it's key. You know,
mhm.
you walk through the platform, and then the thing is, a lot of people don't meet them where they are. You just want to show them off the
Yes.
shiny new toy, and it's like, no, take a use case. Okay, if you can hear
Yes.
me now, take a use case of their actual world. What do
Yep.
you do an incident for? Give me an example. And I always say, give me an example of your worst. Give me your major
Hmm.
critical incident and you tell me what happens. And then you bring that use case to them. And when you can pull that off, you got them. It's
Yep.
over. After that, there's like, they can do the the whole thing with the email and the
Yeah.
paging out. It's all in there, man. And now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
the rest of the incidents don't even matter. It's like, oh, if you
No.
could do that, I know you could do everything.
Yeah.
Now the
Yeah.
workshop is so easy after that.
Well, that's
So
great
totally agree.
advice. So,
Yes.
so definitely take that to heart, everybody that's listening in. We would love for you to send some feedback, do some comments if you want. I can't believe I just said that. You usually make fun of that. Remember to like and subscribe.
Like,
No.
on that note,
I
we're
try
good.
to be low key. So tell me more about these. How you help out people. So the catalog item thing is, that was near and dear to my heart because
Hmm.
that's my first exposure to the platform.
Yeah.
But what kind of other things do you do with the teaching side?
For me, I have a group that I mentored, and I'm always looking for more to mentor over time as I those who get jobs, and I never really stop. They'll reach out to me, but I have a good group, about 10 to 15, that I touch and talk to on a regular.
Yeah.
And this goes from, hey, I need a script include help. I need a new catalog that I don't know what to do. How do I, right? From
Yep.
fixed scripts down to creating a catalog item from scratch. And even now, with we were on the meetup the other week, or was it last week or so, I can't remember what it was.
Something like that.
And
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. We had a meetup, and then I was looking at a scope application that I built, just showing them. And someone said, "Hey," and I looked at a record producer. It's like, I've never built a catalog item before. I would love to get more into that and variables. What is that? And I was like, really? And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, well, hang on. Well, let's back up a little bit, because the developer meetups are for all of that, right? From the
Yes.
beginning developer, for a BA, for an engagement manager, whoever you are, wherever you are, that's what the meetups are for. So I said, so listen, I'm not going to wait till next quarter to give it to you. I'm free in 2 weeks. Are you game?
Nice.
And then say, yeah. So then I was like, well, let me see if anybody else want to go. And I did not think it was going to be as big as it is right now. Now I know the
Yeah.
registrations versus who will show up is a little different.
Right.
It's always like a third of that. But I got over 100 people who registered now. And so I was like, okay. I'm happy about it, because this is something that, like you said, near to your heart. Same thing for me. When I teach people ServiceNow for the first time, catalog is where I start. I don't start on an incident form because it's easy to add a field to a form. That's like, okay, that's a 2-second gratification. It's over. But a catalog item, you can see from the portal side, from the backend side, when you're adding fields, then you add the flow, and you do a flow designer flow, and you build something that you know the process of. And then you click submit, and it does all these cool things that you told it to do. And then at the end of that, once you get all that down, then I can teach you how to do integrations from a catalog item. So there's so many things that I spawn off of that catalog. Then once you do the catalog well, and you can do an integration from a catalog, and you're like, wow, I just did all that. Then I tell you, say, okay, fine. Now go do that integration you did from the catalog task, maybe to another catalog task, another ServiceNow instance or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Go do an integration from ServiceNow to ServiceNow for incident. They can consume that. And it's easier for them because now they get it. They've already built all these crazy fields and client scripts I didn't took them through on a catalog item. So everything is in a catalog item that you cannot break the base platform. If you break a catalog item, you just broke the item, right? So that's why I start people there. And so that's, again, why, like, next week, I'll be doing that and showing, if all the 100 of you show up, showing you how to build a catalog item. And I'm a bit old school, I don't like form builder. I still do the old catalog.
Oh my God, thank goodness. I'm so scared to teach stuff like that, because they're like, why don't you use this? And I'm like, because I don't know it.
Listen,
but guess what?
This
works.
I just make fun. Have a good time at it. I'll tell people, just caveat, I'm old school. I do pull up the builder and I'll say, okay, here's how you add it here. But when you get to certain things, that's a limitation, like variable sets is a limitation on the catalog builder. If you want to do a multi-row variable set, that's a limitation on the catalog builder, right? I mean, so it's little things like that. But at the same time, I do enjoy and like that ServiceNow is doing these things, because it does help. But then you still need some of this old school ServiceNow. Don't forget us old people.
That's right. Yeah. Don't forget the OGs. Well, I just signed up, so everyone else listening should sign up. October 23rd, 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you're there. Yeah.
We'll have a
listen
whole lot of fun.
and learn all about that. You mentioned like an e-bond.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You and I will have to touch base another time, and I'll share an e-bond that I've created.
Oh, nice.
But it's an instance-aware, table-agnostic, unified code-based solution.
Nice.
Yeah, you literally copy paste stuff, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah. I definitely would love to geek out on
that. All right, yeah, for sure. We'll have to. That's good. Maybe we'll get further into the Scotch, and we just won't record it. No, I'll get the Starbucks to match you.
Yeah, so good.
It doesn't always have to be booze to have fun, right?
True.
Yeah. Well, what other stuff did you want to bring up? Anything else that you kind of see in the ecosystem?
Absolutely. So for me, I'll just say this. One thing that I see in the ecosystem today is that there's a trend going on right now in the government space, right? So for those who have been looking for work,
And
government
this is
space is
U.S.
really
federal. Sorry to interrupt.
U.S.
U.S.
federal.
federal.
Thank you
Okay.
for saying that. Appreciate that.
Yes. Canadian.
U.S.
A.
Thank you. Sorry, let's go differently. I'll repeat
No,
that.
no.
There's a boom going on in the U.S. federal space for government contracts. They're doing a lot of ServiceNow work in the U.S. government space at the moment. And so there's a lot, you see that trend where everybody's going there. I would just say that just make sure that if you're trying to get into that space, look for those partners who offer those federal spaces, right? A lot of times people are trying to get in those spaces and then you get hired and you don't get the contract and then you're out of a job. So just really know and
Oh,
understand. Yes, sir. So know and understand how to move in this ecosystem for things like that is good. I have a good friend of mine out there that's offering her services. Kanika, she's out there, but she's offers
mhm.
help, it's not, so she has services that she does offer for people that she can help you, right? And I don't want to say too much about her things because she has a lot of services that she offers and helps people get jobs. She has a whole coaching service that's really awesome. She's a
Oh,
really good
really?
person in
No,
general.
you can go ahead and promote if you'd like. Go ahead.
I just try to help my friends out, but no,
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
just
No, go
helping her,
ahead.
yeah, not just helping her out, but she's good if you ever want to get into that space. But that's the trend that I see,
Okay.
just for that, and then also just in the overall ecosystem. I mean, you just have a lot of new devs that are trying to find their footing, and what I will
Yes.
say to you this is that it's not easy, it's not for the faint, and it's not a quick thing. Okay. I would
Right.
love if it was. Now, even in the beginning of times when I got in, it wasn't a quick thing. Okay, so
No.
this it just not you're not gonna get your cert today, and necessarily be working, in a six-figure job tomorrow.
Right.
There's some instances that you definitely could. I'm not saying you won't, but the
Yeah.
odds are definitely not in your favor from that perspective. However, there is a lot of people hiring and looking for people in position, but persistence and continue to work on your craft is key. And so this is what what I'll definitely, if you ever, contact me or we talk about anything, that's my first thing I say to you is that just know what do you want to do in the ecosystem and just know where do you want to go in it and what's going to help with your brain and your mind. Right. So
Right.
anyway, so that's my final thoughts, if you will.
No, that's great. I'm also kind of looking at building some real world experience tools for people. Like,
Yeah,
I'll write out the stories and you go build them
absolutely.
in your
That's
PDI.
yeah. Yes.
So I'm kind of working on that with Sarah. So Sarah Troop, who's also on the
Hmm.
other podcast episode, where she's trying to land her first job, because we're finding people go, all right, next gen, I'm all done, I've graduated, and it's like, next
Yes.
gen graduate, now what? So how do they get that real world experience? And this is kind of to help bridge that gap. Now, some of it may be ending up being like, if you want me to go in and look at your code and fix it for you, or look at how you build something and fix it for you, then we may be into a different type of thing. But the plan was to say, if you want to just use this and install it and go build it in your PDI for practice, that part's free. So there is a barrier to entry, or no barrier to that level of entry.
Totally correct.
Yeah.
Totally
So
correct. I
the
mean, and
first one is a
that's the same
scoped
way.
app. Yeah, and I'd
Hmm.
like to do a few other ones, like an ITSM one and a CMDB, to get people's feet wet. And then after that, who knows? Maybe you'll do the GRC one, or
I
is
would
it
be more.
ESG
Yeah.
now? I
ESG
don't.
is just the
Yeah.
latest product within the
Yeah.
IRM family. So you got
Right.
policy and compliance, risk, audit,
Okay.
advanced audit, and then ESG is another product in the IRM family.
Okay. See, I don't know
Yeah.
anything about that side of the business, to be honest. So it's
It's all
always
right.
great
If
to
you ever if
hear.
you ever if you ever need to know, you know who to call.
Oh, that's fair. Well, and if you want anything on the other side of it, then yeah, feel free to
I
let me
got you.
know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, until then, I would love to come down and maybe do the Charlotte Dev meetup sometime next year.
Well, I'll tell you, like my good friend Glenn, I see you out there, always says to me, you are more than welcome to come anytime.
Thank you. Yeah, but in the
So
meantime,
yes,
it's remote, right? So
it is remote. We're all
yeah.
online. So yeah, I think I'm probably gonna do like one a year in person.
Mhm.
Online just gives better participation because people have lives. It's after work,
Right.
after hours, after kid pickup, after all the activities
Right.
you probably do with your kids or your family. And then it's like, oh, wait, now you want me to drive downtown, uptown Charlotte. to come meet you for an
Yeah.
hour to go back home to deal with everything else I got to deal with the family. So it's very
Yeah.
easy to get online and to be online. So I did a poll for the team for the meetup
Hmm.
group and asked them what was the best and it was by far online was the best one. Everybody wants to use their computer, follow along with me, along with being able to be home with their families, not being able to be totally impacted by
That's fair.
moving around in the evening. So that's one of the
Sure.
reasons. But I am going to steal
Nice.
one. I think I can't remember what meetup group it is. Glenn and I know Glenn knows, but
Glad
they
the
did a
Vancouver
barbecue.
Dev meetup group. Yeah,
Oh my
that's
god!
on. I'm in that. Yeah, we were there. I was
I
there.
was trying
Yeah.
to get there. I was trying to get there. I just couldn't make
Oh,
it work.
that's
Now,
too
I'm there
bad.
the next one. I'm there the next
Are
one.
you?
I'm there.
It's
I'm
worth
there.
it.
I'm
They
totally there.
host a great party. It's a great group. But yeah,
I'm definitely there. I'm coming
that,
to that's the one I'm waiting for. So I'll be at the next
you might
one.
be the longest traveler then in their history,
Yeah,
but they do have people that have flown across Canada to come to this thing. Yeah.
I'm
So
coming. I'm coming. I am
okay,
coming.
all right,
So.
sounds good. Well, then I know a great hotel that you'll love with a Starbucks in the basement, so you can get those. All right, Dante. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your insights, your openness to your career journey, your advice to everybody at different stages of theirs. You're really willing to open up and share your experience, which has been fantastic. I think a lot of people will learn a lot from this, and hopefully they'll go to that one on Wednesday. Remember, Wednesday, October 23rd, 7 p.m. Eastern. Learn how to build a catalog item the old school way, and I'll be there.
That's right. Well, I
I'm the new
appreciate
school
you for
way.
having me. I really do
Of course.
appreciate you
Thanks
for
a
having
lot,
me. I'm
Dante.
always,
Really
always.
appreciate it.
No
All
worries
right.
at
Well,
all.
we'll be in touch and talk soon.